The most common problems I would say would be some mindsets, like, you know, limiting beliefs is a big one, like thinking like, oh, I'm not tall, so women aren't gonna be attracted to me, or I'm not rich, so I can't get women, or, you know, like all these reasons why they're not attracted to women.
Do those things not matter?
No, they don't matter at all, like at all. I have another sample of a bunch of guys in my fraternity that were short, that didn't have money, that weren't that smart, all this stuff, and they got a ton of pussy. So like, I just know that it's not the traditional things that guys think that they need. That's a part of it. But I think like I said, when I kind of like deconstructed it, the biggest epiphany that I had was the difference of when you are chasing a woman or you're pursuing a woman versus when she's pursuing you. And like the flaws disappearing on both sides. When a woman's chasing you, your flaws disappear, her flaws magnify. The same thing's true for women, is like when these guys massively over-communicate interest, they know they can have them, and then it's like a conversation of do they want them? And when you're looking at flaws, you're gonna find them. Like you've got flaws, I've got flaws, like everybody has flaws, right? So when you're looking for flaws, you know, they stand out. But when you're pursuing something, you know, like think an auction, you know, like 5 guys want something, 5 guys are bidding for something, and like you really want it, and you have this like, you know, idea in your mind of like when you wanted something, you didn't get it, and this fear of loss. You're not thinking about what's wrong with it, you're just, how do I get it, right? Just like, you know, and this is probably the most common mistake guys make, is they're like, this girl's hot, how do I fuck her? You know, that's the thought process. Like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. Like, I would marry that girl. How many times have you heard a guy say like, oh my God, she's so hot, I would marry her? It's like, what if she has AIDS? What if she's a pathological liar? What if she's like 95,000 guys? What if she's just like a, you know, a serial cheater? Like, you know, what if this girl has massive problems? What if she's bipolar? What if she's got a massive alcohol problem? Whatever, right? Like, dig a little bit deeper, like be discerning, you know, like go into the interaction, like wanting to find out more about the girl, not just accepting her looks as being enough. And I think that's the biggest problem that guys make, is that they just like, the looks are enough, and then the conversation is like, how do I get her to like me? One of the big things that I was doing wrong was like, I was over communicating interest. I would have problems with the girls that I was like, oh damn, like this girl's hot, you know, she's different, or like, you know, or I really like her, or whatever, and my approach would change. And because my approach would change, my results would change. So I wouldn't say treat them mean, I would say change your default setting from nice to challenging. You know, because like a lot of these guys, like they aren't really nice guys. They're like, oh, like, you know, I just want to be, it's like, you're not that nice to the fat chick. You're not that nice to the janitor. You're nice to this girl because you want to f her. You know, so like this whole idea of like, oh, I'm just being myself, or like, that's another one. It's like, I just want to be myself. Like I want her to like me for me. And it's like, okay, well, there's different versions of you. There's a version of you in an Armani suit. There's a version of you dressed like shit. You know, there's a version of you where you like take care of your diet and work out and like, you know, work at your job. And there's a version of you that just like succumbs to every one of your, you know, impulses. Like, you know, like I drive by McDonald's and like, you know, I just want to eat fries, but I don't, you know, like I want to have Snickers all day, but I don't, you know, like you can make yourself better. And I think, you know, a lot of guys don't do that. Like a lot of guys are just like, I want a girl to like me for me. Well, I mean, I would not start the interaction by over communicating interest, number one. So I would go up and, you know, have a conversation with her. You know, I mean, I've asked girls crazy stuff. I take like a pretty extreme approach, and I wouldn't recommend this for, you know, all guys, but like I'll ask girls crazy questions. That's something that like most guys wouldn't think to do, but that it's more successful than going up, over communicating interest, putting a girl in a position where like she has to decide like accept or reject. And usually when they're like forced to accept or reject, usually reject is the default. What you say to a girl isn't necessarily how important as like how you say it. So you could go up and say some really stupid shit to open the conversation. It doesn't really matter. Like as long as you get in there without massively over communicating interest, right? And then I would say be discerning, you know, be challenging. Like, you know, ask questions, dig deeper. Neil Strauss had a good one when he was on with Jessica Alba, and he said, aside from your looks, like what would your friends say are the 3, you know, best qualities about you? And like in that one question, he immediately like pulled away her looks, which was like one of her strongest attributes. Like nobody give a fuck about Jessica Alba, she's ugly, right? So it's literally like her superpower. He just sucked it right out of the conversation. He's also digging deeper. And now he's got her in a position of like qualifying herself to him and selling herself to him. She's telling him why she's good.